born in 1968. I think I can be rightly described as a child of the Troubles. Fortunately, I think more recent generations have been able to enjoy their childhood with much greater peace and freedom. I can, however, be thankful that due to the dedication and service of the security forces, ensuring that our country did not descend into greater chaos and anarchy, I was sheltered from the worst excesses of the Troubles. And I'm also grateful that I did not lose, as with the proposer of this motion, I did not lose any close family member to the ravages of terrorism. That is one reason why I feel I have no moral authority to in any way circumscribe or curtail the rights of families of victims of the Troubles, and therefore how much less right to impose an unjustifiable amnesty on those families has the Prime Minister or the Secretary of State, whose direct connection with the Troubles was an occasional glimpse on a news story on the television. Growing up through the Troubles taught me three basic principles which I think are still equally relevant today. One, the sanctity of human life. Secondly, respect for and adherence to the rule of law. And thirdly, that everyone should be equal before the law. It was the clear breach of those three principles through the early release of paramilitary prisoners was one of the principal reasons why I opposed the Belfast Agreement. And while I think, to be fair, some who supported it did so with extreme reluctance. The early release of convicted terrorists perverted the criminal justice system and put in place a hierarchy of both victims and perpetrators, sending out a clear message through the massively reduced tariff to Troubles victims' families that their loved ones were of lesser value than the victims of other crimes. Sadly, the early release scheme was not the only attempt during the past 2 decades to circumvent and undermine the criminal justice system. Through the securing of royal pardons, through the on-the-run letters, and the wider attempt to negotiate amnesties for Republican terrorists at Western Park. Now, while I welcome the political consensus which has emerged against these proposals, although I think it was disappointing that the Deputy First Minister did not utter one word with reference to the victims of Republican terrorism today, I think that some of these proposals, that some parties must bear responsibility in part for their genesis. However, measured against the three tests of sanctity of human life, adherence to the rule of law and equality before the law, the current proposals make what has gone before seem mild by comparison. The families of victims of the Troubles reflect the widest possible spectrum in our society within Northern Ireland and beyond. Their loved ones were the victims of a range of perpetrators, with all murders from whatever source wrong. Given the diversity of community background, unsurprisingly, victims often reflect different views and different objectives. However, it is clear that so unacceptable are the current proposals that victim families have united from across the piece to reject them. For many victims' families, the quest for justice to succeed is going to be extremely challenging, and indeed less likely with the passage of time. But it should not be the role of the state, or indeed any politician, to extinguish that possibility and opportunity. We should listen and respect their voices, and more importantly, so should the government, and withdraw the command paper. To highlight just one aspect of the iniquitous proposals, statutes of limitations are very rarely used in British law. They are principally focused on civil cases which by their nature do not seek a criminal sanction, and in some cases where there is low-level criminal prosecutions. These are restricted to summary offences, and until now any crime which can be treated as indictable and carry a potential sentence of 6 months or above cannot be subject to a statute of limitations. Crimes which can be indictable include the failure to notify the movement of cattle, the unauthorised use of a trademark, and taking a vehicle away without consent cannot be subject to a statute of limitations, but under these proposals, taking a human life will be. That, starkly, is how perverse these proposals are, and why we must resist them in a clear and unambiguous manner. It was said, I think, many years ago that the Battle of Waterloo was won on the playing fields of Eton. But with respect to the Prime Minister, peace in Northern Ireland was won by the service and sacrifice of our security forces, and collectively It was at the expense of the lives of over 3,000 military and civilian personnel. Let us send out, this delivers neither truth, justice nor reconciliation. Let us send out a clear signal and united voice that this House rejects them, and more importantly, the people of Northern Ireland rejects these proposals.
Thank you.